Hello everybody and welcome back to me and my books. Today we're going to talk about my 2025 year in books. I read a total of 130 books, yay, 46,923 pages. And instead of talking about all 130 of these books, because that's quite a lot, I'm gonna talk about all of the ones that I gave 5 stars. My first 5-star read of the year was on January 2nd. That's so fast. And it was A Very Large Expanse of Sea by Tahereh Mafi. This is a young adult contemporary romance, but romance with a little R, not a big R, because I think that there was so much more to this book than the romance. It's hard to describe this book in a small amount of words without you actually having read it, but for a brief, like what it's about, it basically takes place about a year after 9/11. We're following this 16-year-old, I think, Muslim girl named Shireen as she navigates basically being treated horribly in high school by like everybody in her life. We follow her journey as she's learning so much about herself and also about this like cruel world and how evil these people are treating her. And she ends up meeting this kid named Ocean who is really kind, but it's like learning how to trust him, learning how to trust anybody when everybody's being evil. I couldn't recommend it more. I think that everybody needs to read this book. On top of teaching you a lot about human behavior and the reality of what so many people face in this world, it is really romantic. Like, the romance with a little R still is romance. It was so sweet and real romance where people like understand each other, and I just loved it so much. So immediately 5 stars. And then, oh my god, the next book I gave 5 stars was on January 4th, literally 2 days later. And this is Reckless, which is the second book in the Powerless trilogy by Lauren Roberts. It's a young adult fantasy romance where there's trials and everybody has powers, but this one girl who's powerless, you guessed it. I liked it just as much as the first one, and this was a reread. So reread 5 stars. I'm still gonna count rereads in my 5 stars because I would still recommend it to you to read. My next 5 star was on January 14th. Why are all of these gonna be in January? And it was Shark Heart by Emily Hebeck. I loved this book so much that I literally DM'd Emily on Instagram and was like, hey, thank you so much for writing this book and getting it into my hands because this is life-changing. It's a contemporary fiction, if I'm not wrong. Like a magical realism contemporary fiction. The magical realism is basically this man has a terminal illness, but instead of him like dying of cancer or slowly like losing function and whatever, he's slowly turning into a shark. I know it sounds weird, but it's so profound. I can't even figure out the words. I think especially for people who've dealt with chronic illness, terminal illness, or just knowing somebody that has, this book is gonna really impact you. But also for everybody who wants insight into what somebody's life can be like with something like that. The metaphor of the shark is such a useful way to be able to grasp that reality for somebody. Next 5 star was Flawless by Elsie Silver on January 19th. This is the first book in the Chestnut Springs series. I didn't read this first. I think this might have been the last Chestnut Springs book that I read. But anyways, the premise, the rules were simple. Keep my hands off his daughter and stay out of trouble. But now I'm stuck with her and there's only one bed. Oh well, rules are made to be broken, aren't they? That's straight from Goodreads. This is my favorite one in the series. We've got cowboy romance, forced proximity. If you've never read an Elsie Silver, this one would probably be pretty good to start with. The tension was just seeping through the pages between these characters. It doesn't happen often anymore where I read romance and my heart goes pitter-patter because I read so many romances, and this one made my heart pitter-patter. So do with that what you will. Oh my god, my next 5-star read was literally the next thing that I read, which was The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. This is the second book in the Poppy War trilogy. If you don't know what the Poppy War trilogy by R.F. Kuang is, fantasy fiction, but there's also like historical inspirations that are taken from like actual real life events. R.F. Kuang basically takes a magic spin on it, I would almost say. Like, she creates a world around this historical event. Very like morally gray heroine, hero's journey, but you don't know if you're supposed to like her or not. There's lots of betrayal. There's lots of like, oh my God, why would you do that? Lots of points where I just was screaming and crying. The second book is my favorite one in this trilogy. The first one I gave 4 stars, second book 5 stars, and I think the third one I gave 3 stars. I wasn't a huge fan of how the series wrapped up, but I would recommend it for anybody. I'd recommend any R.F. Kuang book ever to anyone who can read. Next, we have another reread, Unravel Me by Tahereh Mafi, the same author as the first book, but this is her young adult fantasy series. Shatter Me, we basically follow this girl named Juliet. In the first book, we meet her and she's in prison, and we find out that basically anybody who touches her not dies, but like suffers horrible intense pain, so she can't touch anybody. And we're in this like dystopian war-riddled country. You know the vibe. The first book I gave 4 stars. The second and third book I gave 5 stars, and I reread both of them this year. It has one of my favorite book boyfriends ever. Yeah, Tahereh Mafi knows how to write a good romance, and I truly appreciate that. The next book I gave 5 stars was on May 29th. Literally 4 months later. I struggled in February, March, and April, and almost all of May. But this one brought it back. Problematic Summer Romance by Ali Hazelwood. If you haven't read an Ali Hazelwood yet, first of all, what are you doing? Second of all, I don't know if you should start with this one. I'd recommend starting with one of her other books. I have an entire video dedicated to Ali Hazelwood if you want to like delve into that world. But this book specifically blew it out of the park. This is a age gap romance. We are stuck in Italy with him because he's part of the wedding we are at. I say we, the main character, Maya. The age difference, if you're wondering, because I know for some people that's important. She's 23 and he's 38. Problematic Summer Romance is the title of this book. However, I found this to be the least problematic age gap romance that I've personally ever read. I ended the book and felt like there was nothing super weird about them, nothing left a bad taste in my mouth. And that can be kind of hard to do with an age gap romance. Super steamy, super lovely, 5 gajillion stars. My next 5-star read was on July 23rd, and shocker, it's Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Taylor Jenkins Reid, this woman, 9 to 5 by Dolly Parton. She is writing 5-star reads around the clock. Fun fact about my journey with this book, I actually hated it for most of the time that I was reading it. I was like, oh, this just isn't gonna be for me. I didn't like reading about space. If you're wondering what it's about, I should honestly probably say. We're following this astronaut named Joan as she becomes one of the first women to go into space. It's set in the 80s, and basically the story is happening as this mission is failing. That's where we start the book, but there's also like flashback scenes to how she became one of the first women scientists at NASA and like worked her way up here, and how she met her crew and the relationships they formed. Like, if you know, you know. There's romance, there's tension, there's literally what is the point of life. It makes you think about love and what love means to people, and how at the end of the day, what's actually really important. Why am I gonna start crying? I love this book so much. Why am I literally crying about it? I cried for like the entire last 15%. In the end, I did end up caring about space, and I did end up caring about reading about space. And yeah, this book is just so profound, and if you have a heart and soul, I would recommend it to you. Next 5-star read, I finished this on September 11th. Animal Farm. This is also a reread, but reread is in heavy quotes because I first read it when I was 10. So I just love the format that George Orwell chose to like teach these lessons in. These animals take over the farm from the farmers. It's basically like overthrowing and overpowering government, but the government is these farmers. But in doing so, they become corrupt themselves. And I just think that so many of the lessons in Animal Farm are so applicable to today, especially about how important literacy is and how much words can be used to control people, how much words are manipulated to control people. And yeah, just a super important read. It will never not be applicable, I think, to any society or any group of people, and I would recommend it because it's told in such an easily accessible format. Oh, don't get me started on accessible methods for teaching people important lessons. I love them, and this is one of those books, so yeah. Then I read The Hunger Games, and I gave The Hunger Games and the second book, Catching Fire, both 5 stars. If you don't know what The Hunger Games is, it's a YA dystopian. These kids have to fight to the death. I didn't think that I was gonna like this as much as I did, and I actually liked the second book a little bit more, but both of them were 5 stars. I mean, obviously everybody loves these books. I'm probably the last person that has read them, so this isn't really me recommending them to you because you've probably read them. Next, this is probably my favorite book of the year, The Everlasting by Alex E. Harrow. I got this on Book of the Month. Basically, this book changed my life, body, and soul. It's labeled as a fantasy romance, but again, it's so much more. Like, you just can't put a genre label on it, you just need to read it. But if you want the general vibe, we're following a moving and genre-defying quest about the lady knight whose legend built a nation and the cowardly historian sent back through time to make sure she plays her part, even if it breaks his heart. So initially, we're following these 2 timelines, this one historian man who's studying this knight, and then we're following the actual knight in her timeline. Things just get crazy, and I don't mean to like cry so much, but I'm just like gonna cry if I keep talking about this book. Sorry, I just feel so many things. You just need to read it. It's so weird and it will move you. I promise, even if you think it's really weird for a lot of it, just like hold out and finish it, and yeah. And then my last 5-star read of the year, which I finished today, I read A Court of Mist and Fury for the 4th time, I believe, except this time I listened to the graphic audio version, which is like 21 hours long. Honestly, I wish it had been longer. That's my favorite book, I think, of all time. Oh, I hate saying that because people are so judgmental, but I literally just like the craft. Sorry, the craft, it just makes me feel so many things. It's so fun. I could read it a million times. The graphic audio, I actually would really recommend. I've never done the graphic audio in its entirety before. Usually I just listen to it to fall asleep sometimes, but like a week ago, I was listening to it to fall asleep and I was like, I should like commit to the bit and like actually listen to it. And so I did, and I just fell in love with everything about it all over again. If you don't know what the series is, A Court of Thorns and Roses is the series, A Court of Mist and Fury is the second book. A Court of Thorns and Roses is a retelling on Beauty and the Beast. If you haven't heard about it, I'd be shocked. You should read it. The whole series is pretty good. The second book, just again, like I'm sorry, I think it might be the best sequel ever. And I say that having read Catching Fire this year. So I hope that you guys had beautiful reading years. I hope that you got some recommendations from this. I'm sorry I'm not gonna talk about all 130 books that I read this year because I'm just one girl and there's only 24 hours in the day. You know the vibe. I'm trying my best. Have a happy new year. Read lots of good books. Recommend them to me. I'll see you next time. Mwah.